All right, so are you ready to dive in? We're tackling Exodus today. Got your excerpts and footnotes handy?
Absolutely. Let's get right into it.
Good, because we're going way beyond just the plagues and the parting of the sea. We're digging into what makes this ancient text so powerful even thousands of years later.
Exactly. When we talk about Exodus, we're talking about a foundational text, a pillar of the Hebrew Bible. It's not just a history book. It's a foundational story.
You know, it's funny you say that because I did always think of it as just this huge epic story, which it is. But reading through the excerpts this time, what really struck me was how much of it is relatable, even now.
That's what's so amazing about Exodus. It's this tapestry of God's covenant with Israel, woven together with those universal themes of deliverance and law, presence, themes that continue to resonate with people even today.
It really makes you think. And speaking of things that resonate, one thing that really jumped out at me were all the names.
Right.
Moses, Aaron, Jethro, even Moses' son, Gershom. The footnotes say his name means sojourner there.
Interesting.
What's the significance of that?
You see, you've hit upon something quite profound there. Names in the Bible, they're not just labels, they're infused with meaning. They reflect someone's character, their destiny, their relationship with God. It's almost like a character study built right into their name.
Like the name itself gives you a clue about who they are.
Precisely.
And when you think about it, the Israelites were living as foreigners in Egypt. Gershom's name, it's not just a random detail. It speaks to that deep longing for a homeland, for a place to belong.
Absolutely. And that longing for belonging is something that echoes not just through this story, but throughout history and even resonates with us today.
It's true, that feeling of being a sojourner, searching for where you belong. It's amazing how a name can hold so much meaning, you know?
It really speaks to the power of names, doesn't it? Think about Moses himself. His name, it's from the Hebrew word for drawn out of the water.
Wow.
It foreshadows that dramatic rescue from the Nile as an infant.
So right from the beginning, his name sets the stage for this theme of deliverance.
Exactly. And this theme isn't limited to just Moses, is it? It expands, it grows to encompass the Israelites and their journey as a whole.
Right. It's like this recurring motif throughout Exodus.
Exactly. And it's not just physical deliverance either, is it? It extends to the Israelites' spiritual journey as well. That evolving relationship with God and their struggles in defining who they are as a people.
They're being drawn out physically and spiritually. Makes you wonder about the personal Exodus stories that are playing out every day, even now. But I think maybe we should save that thought for later.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. We can come back to that.
And speaking of journeys into the unknown, can we talk about the plagues? I mean, turning the Nile into blood, swarms of locusts. It's some pretty intense imagery.
It really is. The way Exodus blends those physical and symbolic elements is fascinating.
Yeah. Like, take the Nile turning to blood. It's one thing to read about it, but then you get this detail about the stench. The text describes it as unbearable, like a physical assault on the senses.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's not just a story, it's visceral.
Exactly. And that detail is important because remember, for the Egyptians, the Nile wasn't just a river, it was their lifeblood, literally worshipped as a god. So when the Nile is turned into something foul, something unusable, it's about more than just dirty water. It's a direct challenge to their entire worldview.
Their gods have no power here.
Exactly. Each plague seems to target a specific aspect of that Egyptian pantheon. The plague of frogs, for instance, that directly challenges Heket, the goddess of fertility and water.
It's like a systematic dismantling of their understanding of the natural order, which, when you think about it, makes the Israelites' reaction to Moses' absence all the more striking.
Oh, absolutely.
They're waiting for him on Mount Sinai, right?
Yeah.
And they start to panic. And honestly, I kind of get it. I mean, they're in uncharted territory, literally and figuratively. They're looking for something familiar, something to hold on to.
Which is where that golden calf comes in. And it's really interesting because the footnotes point out that this wasn't just a random idol.
Right.
They chose to represent a very specific deity, a bull god from another culture, one associated with strength and fertility.
It's like they're saying, okay, we tried this whole invisible god thing, but we need something we can actually see.
Exactly. It's a reversion, isn't it? Remember, they just left an entire society steeped in idol worship, gods who were visible, ever present. This idea of an invisible God, a God who demands faith and trust, but without a physical form. Well, that was a radical departure.
A lot to process. It's a good reminder that change, even positive change, can be really hard.
It can.
They're free from slavery, sure, but there's still figuring out what they believe, who they are in relation to this God. Makes you think about how we handle those moments of uncertainty, doesn't it?
It does. We may not be building golden calves anymore, but
Yeah.
we all have those times where we're tempted to rely on the tangible, on what we can see and touch, rather than trusting in something we can't fully grasp.
That a human need for security.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is how that yearning for something tangible, well, it seems to carry over into the next stage of their journey, the building of the tabernacle. It's like going from one extreme to the other. They're desperate for a God they can see, and now, bam, super detailed instructions for building the tabernacle.
And the thing is, it's not presented as a contradiction. It's all part of that same journey. This tabernacle with the Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat, it becomes a portable sanctuary, a way for them to carry that presence of God with them.
It's like a dedicated sacred space. And I have to say, that footnote about Moses being shown a heavenly pattern for the tabernacle blew my mind. Like he got a blueprint straight from somewhere else. Changes your whole perspective on what it means to create a sacred space, doesn't it?
And it's not just about the space itself, right? The text is very specific. The rituals, the materials used, even the clothing required to approach the most sacred areas. This wasn't just about building something beautiful. It was about the act of bridging that gap between humanity and the divine.
So they go from this like almost primal need to touch, to see their God, to understanding that a sacred space, built with intention, according to a divine plan, that can be a powerful way to connect with a God they couldn't see.
Exactly. It's a critical step in their journey as a people. They're learning that true faith isn't about holding on to something tangible. It's about trusting in something larger than themselves, something they couldn't always see or control.
A powerful message, and I think it's something that really resonates. Even now, we've covered a lot of ground. Names, plagues, idols, sanctuaries. It's amazing to me how this ancient text, it still speaks to those very human needs that need to connect with something bigger than ourselves, even when it's messy, even when it's confusing.
That's the thing about Exodus, isn't it? It's timeless. It's not just a story about escaping slavery. It's about the complexities of faith, the challenges of trusting in something unseen. And it's a story about that ongoing search for meaning, for something to hold on to in a world that can feel pretty chaotic sometimes.
So as you go about your day, think about this. What are your Exodus experiences? Those times when you were called to leave behind something familiar, to step into the unknown, and trust that something bigger was guiding your path.
And remember liberation. It's a journey, not a destination. There will be moments where we stumble, we question, we might even be tempted to build our own golden calves, so to speak. But it's through those struggles that we discover our own strength. And ultimately, we deepen that understanding of what truly matters.
Let me know what you guys think below in the comments section. We love replying to your comments. And if you're not already subscribed, you're going to miss out on some great content. So take a moment to subscribe now. Thanks again for watching our video and sharing the gospel. Don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with friends. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.